Good day everyone, we're Group 5 Tutorial 2. Today we will discuss Chapter 14, Controlling Work and Organizational Processes, Case Application 1 and Case Application 2. Here are our amazing team members. Before we're going to study case applications, let's look at Chapter 14 discussion questions. Hello, my name is Yoon Seok-young. I'll be answering discussion question 14-1. What is the role of controlling management? The role of controlling management is to make sure the organization reaches its goal efficiently and effectively. Managers do this by carefully planning objectives, monitoring employees' performance, and taking corrective action when needed. Although control may seem strict, it is very important because managers provide clear guidance, set expectations, and prevent mistakes or inefficiency.
Okay, so I will break down on discussion question 42, which is the four methods manager use to acquire information about actual work performance. The first one is that personal observations. This is a powerful one because it gives the manager an unfiltered first-hand view of reality. However, the downside is that every time we do this method, it is time-consuming and employees can often feel like they are being spied on, which hurts morale. Second is that statistical reports. These are excellent for visualizing trends and comparing hard numbers quickly, but we need to keep in mind that numbers alone lack context. They ignore the subjective factors like employees' feelings or why specific drop in performance happened. Third one is oral reports. These are fast and allow for instant feedback loops where a manager can hear tone of voice. The risk is filtering employees might leave out the bad news to look better, and there is usually no permanent record for the conversations. The last one is written reports. These are the most comprehensive and provide a crucial permanent record for the company. The trade-off, of course, is that they are slow and take a long time to prepare. So in conclusion, the most effective managers could do is to actually combine all these methods to get the full picture. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Azmi bin Muhammad Farid. And to answer this question, I agree that planning and controlling are opposite sides of the same coin at all levels of organizational hierarchy. Planning is where goals and standards are set, and controlling is where managers ensure that performance meet the goal. Even though both functions are connected, the focus of controlling varies depending on the management level, whether it is on top, middle, or lower management. The further explanation will be given in the next slide. Hello, my name is Muhammad Fahmi Azmi bin Muhammad Farid, and today I will be presenting the difference in planning and controlling across three levels of management: top management, middle management, and lower management. First, at the top management level, in terms of planning, top managers focus on the big picture. They are responsible for creating strategic plans, setting the company's vision and mission, and developing long-term goals that guide the whole organization. For controlling, top management reviews overall organizational performance. They compare actual results with long-term goals and also monitor financial information such as profit. If the organization is not achieving its goal, they make a necessary amendment to bring everything back on track. Next, at the middle level management, for planning, middle managers concentrate on developing and improving departmental plans. This includes preparing developmental budgets, managing resources, and ensuring a proper allocation to support the strategies set by the top management. In terms of controlling, middle managers monitor their departmental performance. They ensure that actual results comply with the budget and plans. They also identify problems or risks that take corrective actions to improve performance at the departmental level. Lastly, at the lower management level for planning, managers handle the daily scheduling of tasks. They divide and allocate work among employees to ensure smooth daily operations. In controlling, they supervise employees' daily activities, monitor work quality and productivity, and make sure tasks are completed within the required time frame. In summary, while all levels of management are involved in planning and controlling, the focus is different. Top management look at long term and strategic direction. Middle management translate those strategies into departmental actions, and lower management ensures daily operations run effectively. That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll be talking about type of control that managers typically use. First one is the feed-forward control, or so-called input stage. It takes place before work or activity begins. So the purpose of that is to anticipate problems to prevent them from occurring rather than fixing them later. The key benefit of this type of control is that it is the most desirable type because it saves money and time by avoiding waste, although it requires accurate and timely information to work. Second of this type of control is concurrent control or the process stage. It takes place while a work activity is in progress. So the purpose of that is to correct problem immediately as they happen. So the key benefit of this is that direct supervision or management by walking around, which allows managers to fix errors before they become costly. So the last one is that is the feedback control or the output stage. It takes place after the activity is completed, and the purpose is that for that is to correct problem after the fact and provide data for future planning. So the key benefit for this is while the damage is already done, it is the most popular type because it provides meaningful data on planning effectiveness and motivates employees by showing them how well they perform.
Hello, I will be explaining why feedback control, which happens after a process is completed, can be seen as a disadvantage for organizations. First, problems are detected too late. Because feedback control only evaluates results after the work is done, managers may only discover mistakes at the end of the process. By the time issues are found, the damage has already happened and cannot be avoided. Second, this leads to high cost correction. Fixing mistakes after the fact is usually more expensive. For example, if a product defect is found only after production, the company may need to repair, recall, or reproduce items, which increases costs. Third, it can cause customer dissatisfaction. If poor quality products or services reach customers before the organization detect the problem, customers may experience frustration, complain, or even stop buying from the company. Next, feedback control provides no prevention of future errors because it focuses on past outcomes. It doesn't help stop problems before they occur. As a result, the same mistakes may continue happening repeatedly. Lastly, it may lead to a slow managerial response. Managers have to wait until the end of the process to gather feedback. This slows down decision making and prevention quick adjustment that could have improved performance earlier. In conclusion, while feedback control is useful for evaluating result, relying on it alone can be risky because issues are discovered too late, costs increase, and customers' dissatisfaction may be affected. That's it from me. Thank you.
Case Application 1. Healthy fast food.
Okay, the first one is decentralized risk. To start, let's look at the scale of the problem. Chipotle was operating 2,200 locations, and at the time, almost all food prep was done locally in each kitchen. While this supported their fresh image, it created a massive oversight gap. This lack of centralized control led to over 500 reported illnesses across several states. Second of that is mission conflict. Chipotle's biggest strength, their food with integrity's missions became a liability. They use fresh, raw, and minimally processed ingredients, unlike competitors who use pre-cooked or highly processed food that are easier to sterilize. Chipotle's commitment to freshness made their supply chain significantly more vulnerable to pathogens. The third one is the supply chain complexity. It wasn't just the kitchen, it was the sources. Chipotle had a very fragmented supply chain with too many individual suppliers. When the outbreaks hit, It was nearly impossible to trace exactly which farm the contaminated ingredients came from, making the crisis made much harder to contain. The fourth one is the sales collapse. The financial impact was devastating and immediate. We saw a 30% drop in sales almost overnight. This wasn't just a dip, it was a free fall that led to multiple lawsuits and a massive hit to the company's stock, price, and market valuation. The fifth one is the brand erosion. Perhaps the most damaging part was the shift in public perception. Critics and food safety experts began to argue that Chipotle was so focused on being organic and local that they had neglected the most basic requirement of any food businesses, which is keeping the customer safe. The sixth is that strategic pivot. At this point, management realized that mere tricks wouldn't work. They had to execute a total strategic pivot. This meant completely rewriting their operational playbook to prioritize safety as much as, if not more than, food quality. The seventh of that is centralized prep. One of the biggest changes was moving away from 100% in-store prep. They shifted high-risk items like tomatoes and lettuce to central kitchens. This allowed them to advance sanitation techniques that simply aren't possible in a busy restaurant kitchen. Eighth is that supplier consolidations. They also clean up their supply chain by reducing the number of suppliers. They gained more leverages, better visibility. This allowed them to enforce much stricter compliance standards and ensure that every ingredient could be tracked from the farm to the burrito. The ninth one is national shutdown. In a very bold move to signal their commitment to change, Chipotle closed every single one of its stores nationwide for a few hours. This wasn't just for a show, it was mandatory, synchronized retraining session to ensure every employee understood the new safety protocols. The last one is that strict auditing. Finally, they moved from a trust system to a verify system. They implement rigorous tech-driven auditing and third-party inspections. Today, safety isn't just a suggestion at Chipotle. It's a data-driven metric that is monitored daily to prevent a repeat of 2015. That's it for the case summary application. So this question asks on why does Chipotle need to revise their management? So before the crisis, Chipotle was the ultimate stock market leader. They built their entire identity on food with integrity, fresh and local ingredients prepared by hand. But there was a problem. Their greatest strength also became their greatest weakness. As they scaled to 2,200 stores, that decentralized hand prep model became impossible to polish. There is a wave. So in the echo in the Pacific Northwest and also the norovirus in Boston, and over 500 people got sick because of that new policy. So they aren't just talking about the stomach aches. E. coli is also life-threatening. For restaurants, this is the ultimate moment of truth. It proved their safety nets weren't just leaking; they were non-existent. So when people are scared to eat, sales drop fast. Chipotle saw a massive 30% crash in revenue, and then Wall Street punishes uncertainty. As stock plummeted, the company faced the very real threat of hostile takeovers or bankruptcy. They weren't just fighting for their reputations, they were also fighting for their life. These needs require a total operational overhaul. Imagine trying to ensure every single tomato is washed perfectly in 2,200 stores on different kitchens every morning. That is just a logistical nightmare. And to survive that, they moved prep to central kitchens and implemented high-tech DNA testing on ingredients. They also essentially had to take the luck out of the food safety. So ultimately, Chipotle had to align their operation with their promise. Food with integrity couldn't just be a marketing slogan, it had to be rigorous technical standard. They didn't just revise the checklist, they changed their entire DNA to survive.
Hi everyone, my name is Muhammad Fauzan and I will be discussing question 2. Which control would be more important to Chipotle? Feed forward, concurrent or feedback? Explain why this level of managerial control is necessary. Feed forward control are the most important for Chipotle because they emphasize preventing issues before they have a chance to occur, which is crucial for a company operating in the food industry. Chipotle major food safety crises such as E. coli, norovirus, and salmonella outbreak originated from contaminated ingredients entering the system before the company detected any problems. This shows a clear need for stronger controls at the very beginning of the supply chain. Strengthening feed-forward controls will involve implementing stricter supplier requirements, regularly auditing farm and vendor, conducting more rigorous testing on incoming produce and meat, and improving oversight of food sourcing practice. By identifying potential hazards early, Chipotle can significantly reduce the likelihood of unsafe food ever reaching store or customer. This proactive approach is essential for maintaining safety in a highly complex and decentralized food supply chain. Concurrent controls also play a major role in ensuring food safety at Chipotle because the company relies heavily on fresh food being prepared directly in each restaurant. Since employees cook, chop, and mix ingredients on site, real-time monitoring becomes a critical factor in maintaining consistency and safety. Concurrent controls will include daily temperature checks, sanitation procedures, and continuous training to reinforce proper food handling behaviors. These controls allow managers to correct mistakes as they happen, reducing the chance that improper handling or cross-contamination will lead to illness. Because Chipotle operates more than 20,000 individual locations, consistent concurrent controls help maintain uniform standards across all stores, lowering the risk that one location becomes the source of an outbreak. Lastly, feedback controls, while still important, are more limited in their ability to protect customers because they take place after a problem has already occurred. Chipotle can use feedback control to analyze customer complaints and learn from past outbreaks. These insights are valuable for long-term improvement, but they cannot undo the damage once a failure has happened. Chipotle's previous crisis severely hurts its reputation, caused financial loss, closed store, and resulted in lawsuits. Because the consequences were so significant, relying mostly on feedback controls would not be sufficient. Chipotle needs preventive and real-time controls to avoid repeating those mistakes. This strong level of managerial controls is necessary because Chipotle's brand identity, built on food with integrity and fresh, high-quality ingredients, depends entirely on maintaining consumer trust. Unlike many fast food competitors that rely on highly processed, centrally prepared food, Chipotle's commitment to fresh preparation and locally sourced ingredients increase the complexity and risk of contamination. Fresh food gives Chipotle a competitive advantage, but it also requires tighter control system to manage food safety effectively. By prioritizing feed-forward and concurrent controls, Chipotle can better protect customers, comply with health regulation, prevent future outbreak, and restore the public confidence in the company. Ultimately, strong managerial controls are essential for ensuring long-term success, reducing legal and financial risks, and supporting a safe and reliable dining experience. That's all from me. Thank you, everyone.
Next, I will explain how Chipotle can make sure that employees are following the new food handling standards. First, Chipotle needs to focus on consistent training and certification. All employees should receive mandatory and ongoing training on the new food handling procedures. This ensures that everyone clearly understands what is required of them. Certifications or short tests can also be used to confirm that employees are able to apply this standard correctly in their daily work. Secondly, ongoing monitoring and supervision are very important. Store managers should continuously observe food preparation and handling practices in the kitchen. Regular inspections and audits can be carried out to act as a real-time controls. This helps ensure that employees are actually following the standards, not just during the training, but during daily operation too. Lastly, feedback and corrective action must be taken when problems occur. If any issues are identified, management should respond immediately. This may include retraining employees or adjusting certain processes. Taking quick corrective action helps prevent the same mistakes from happening again and improve overall compliance with food handling standards. In conclusion, through proper training, continuous monitoring, and effective corrective actions, Chipotle can ensure that employees consistently follow the new food handling standards.
Good day everyone, I'm Muswira. So I'll be discussing question 44, which is explain the statement, the more basic the food chain, the easier it is to control. Is there any managerial advice on control here? Explain. So I'll be explaining the statement, the more basic the food chain, the easier it is to control, and discuss the managerial advice related to control. So a basic food chain is easier to manage because it involves fewer suppliers and more centralized food preparation. When the number of steps in the supply chain is reduced, the number of potential problems is also reduced. This makes it easier for the managers to monitor operations and maintain consistent food safety standards. In simple terms, a simpler system reduces risk and improves control. So, in Chipotle's case, shows the opposite situation. Chipotle adopted a complex and centralized supply chain by sourcing ingredients from many local farms and preparing food in more than 2,200 restaurant locations. While this supported its brand promise of fresh and local food, but also created too many points of failure. With so many suppliers and preparation locations, management found it difficult to monitor food safety consistently, which eventually led to foodborne illness outbreaks. So now let's move on to the next slide. The managerial lesson from this case is that control system must match the level of complexity. If managers choose a decentralized model, they must implement much stronger controls. This includes strict supplier vetting, clear standard operating procedures, and continuous monitoring to prevent problems before they occur. However, for large-scale food safety, centralization is generally the most effective approach. By reducing the number of suppliers and moving high-risk food preparation to centralized kitchen, companies can apply consistent safety standards more easily. This shows that a more basic and centralized food chain is easier to control and safer to manage. So in conclusion, simplicity improves control, while complexity requires significantly stronger management system to reduce risks. So that's all from me. I'll pass it on to the next presenter. Thank you.
Good day everyone. Next we are going to continue with question 1415, which is what roles do social responsibility and ethical behavior play in ensuring that controls are appropriate and working? Now, as we can see through the ethical behavior, we have things such as the rights view, which mainly focuses on having everyone's rights and whatever privileges being heard. Through this view, managers should listen to whatever their workers have to say in planning out the controls and guidelines for the company. Through this, they are able to collect feedback and also know what is most satisfactory work conditions and environments for their employees. Through this, the managers can monitor and better control what the employees are doing, because the employees themselves are the ones who set such standards. This allows maximum satisfaction as well as maximum work efficiency to be carried out. Next, we have the utilitarian view, which basically states that the sector which gives the most contribution is the one which should be looked into the most. Through this, the management is able to better allocate their resources, as which sector produces the most amount of advantage in generating revenue should be the one which is allocated the most amount of resources, direct materials, direct labors, on overhead, and so on. Through this, the management is in full control on whatever resources they have, and this helps us to achieve optimum efficiency, because none will be wasted as it will be all put to the best use. Next, we have social responsibility. According to the ASQ 2025, social responsibility is the means of achieving sustainability, applying social responsibilities as the principles when they are carrying out work at the company. Basically, social responsibilities helps a company to set their boundaries, set their visions and objectives. Through this, the management is able to do evaluation towards the work done, as they have already a guideline and a limit to what is being done. If these standards are not being met, then the company's management can take action immediately towards the matter. Now let's look into some example of companies which apply this theory. For example, McDonald's, according to Hash 2025, McDonald's works with its suppliers to promote socially responsible practices in its supply chain as part of its supply chain strategy. This helps them to ensure social accountability as well as the supplies are secure and in good condition. This allows McDonald's to stay top notch in the quality of their products in the fast food industry. Next, we have A&W, which establishes moral compasses. This allows them to provide more guidelines towards their employees when they are carrying out their work in the company, whether they are under supervision or they are not. This acts as a form of internal control conducted towards the employee indirectly by the management. This ensures that the workers don't slack off and also keep being productive to help the company generate revenue and also to carry out its daily tasks without any problems. That's all for me. Let's move on to the next.
Case application 2. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all.
Okay, the first one is the manager's top priority. To begin, managing employees' performance is the single most important task for managers today. However, the landscape is shifting. It's no longer just about watching employees at work. It's also about ensuring that every individual effort is actively driving towards the company's larger strategic goals. Second is that two methods of control. There are generally two ways to control performance. The first is through encouragement and guidance, where we use recognitions to fuel improvement. The second is through strict monitoring and standards, where the focus is on clear results and enforcing consequences when those results aren't met. The third one is the cheerleader approach. Some companies adopt a cheerleading style. They believe that by focusing exclusively on what employee does right, they can keep morale high, keep people motivated, and prevent turnover. It's a culture built on keeping people happy so they don't want to quit. The fourth one is the NBA approach. On the flip side, some companies treat work like the NBA. They believe in brutal honesty. If you aren't performing at an elite level, you are taught directly. In this pro sports model, the only way to win is to ensure that only the highest performers are on the court. The fifth one is the classic same case example. Boston Consulting Group, BCG. The case highlights the Boston Consulting Group as a prime example of the supportive model. BCG focuses heavily on employees' development and positive reinforcement, creating a lower stress environment where people feel safe to learn and grow over time. The sixth one is another case example. Netflix. In stark contrast, we have Netflix. Netflix use incredibly strict performance standards. They don't just want good employees, they want stars. This pushes the company to high levels of success, but it also creates an environment of intense pressure. Seventh is that culture and personality fit. The takeaway here is that there is no perfect system. Instead, it's about fit. BCG's supportive style and Netflix high pressure style appeal to different people. As future professionals, we have to choose organizations that match our own personality and working styles. Eighth is that the pitfall of pure positivity. Now, let's look at the feedback itself. As pointed out, giving only positive feedback is actually a trap. While it feels good, it doesn't help an employee grow or correct their mistakes. If you only hear what you're doing well, you never learn what you're doing wrong. the next one is that the power of balanced feedback. The most effective approach is a balanced feedback. By combining positive reinforcement with constructive criticism, managers build trust. Employees feel supported, but they also feel challenged to improve. This is the real driver of a long-term performance. The last one is setting clear expectations. Finally, we conclude that constructive feedback is a tool for clarity. When managers include corrective notes, they aren't just criticizing, they are setting clear standards. This also makes it much easier for employees to meet expectations because they know exactly where the bar is set. That's it for the case summary application.
So, hello everyone, my name is Aifa and I'll be answering question 4016, which asks, is controlling employee performance an important responsibility of manager? Discuss. And my answer is yes, controlling employee performance is one of the most important responsibility of manager. Managers are responsible for ensuring that the employee actions and behavior are aligned with organizational goals. Without proper performance control, employee may not clearly understand expectation, which can lead to a low productivity, poor work quality, and failure to achieve company objective. Firstly, controlling employee performance helps ensure that organizational goals are achieved efficiently. Employees are hired to carry out specific tasks that contribute to the success of the organization. Managers must monitor performance, evaluate results, and provide feedback to ensure that employees are performing according to the plan. In the case study, many organizations recognize the employee performance directly affects company outcomes, which is why performance control is emphasized as a managerial responsibility. For example, Boston Consulting Group (BCG) practices a positive performance control approach. Managers at BCG frequently praise employees, encourage them to celebrate even small achievements, and focus performance reviews on individual strengths rather than mistakes. This approach helps employees stay motivated and confident, which can improve overall performance. By controlling performance through encouragement and recognition, managers ensure employees continue to work toward organizational goals in a positive environment. And secondly, controlling employee performance is important for employee development and continuous improvement. Performance control is not only about identifying mistakes, but also about helping employees to grow. In the BCG case, managers are encouraged to mention only one or two areas that require improvement during performance review. This allows employees to clearly understand what they need to work on without feeling overwhelmed or discouraged. And as a result, employees are more willing to improve their skills and performance. In contrast, some organizations adopt a stricter approach to performance control. For instance, Netflix uses a tough love performance management style. Netflix expects very high performance standards and views itself as a pro sport team. Employees who only perform at an average or adequate level may be asked to leave the company. This shows that the performance control is essential for maintaining excellence and ensuring that only high-performing employees remains in the organization. Furthermore, controlling employee performance helps set clear expectation and accountability. When managers clearly communicate performance standards and consequences, employees understand what is required of them. And at Netflix, this strict control sends a clear message that high performance is non-negotiable. This reduces confusion and encourages employees to take full responsibility for their work. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Yoon Seok-young. I'll be answering question 14-17. Should managers focus only on positive feedback? Explain. The answer is no. Managers should focus on both positive and negative feedback rather than shifting entirely to one side. While positive feedback can motivate employees, relying solely on it prevents managers from identifying weaknesses, which means that there will be no opportunity for improvement. There are three clear reasons to support this statement. First, positive feedback alone doesn't drive improvement. Positive feedback makes employees feel encouraged and motivated. However, if managers are shy or feel bad giving negative feedback, employees won't know what needs to change. Without corrective feedback, performance issues remain unaddressed. Second, balanced feedback builds credibility and trust. Managers should avoid giving only positive feedback. Being overly nice without guidance can make employees feel that their work is not taken seriously and may cause them to lose focus. Managers should provide positive feedback that is specific, detailed, and honest, while also offering guidance for improvement. Third, constructive feedback clarifies expectations and standards. It's important for employees to know their strengths, but they should also understand what is expected moving forward. Clear and corrective feedback helps align behavior with goals, standards, and organizational needs. As seen in the Boston Consulting Group and PricewaterhouseCoopers cases, positive feedback works best when it includes selective and meaningful guidance for development, rather than eliminating constructive feedback entirely. In conclusion, positive feedback is very important because it motivates employees. However, effective management also requires constructive feedback to guide real improvement. Therefore, managers should focus and continuously review employees' tasks and provide direct feedback. Always remember that balanced positive and constructive feedback is essential.
Hi guys, I am Nusha Fermesaro and I will answer these questions. What are the risks associated with providing employees and only positive feedback and providing limited feedback on areas of improvement? So, first, the primary risk is unaddressed poor performance and skill gaps. If managers only discuss strengths and successes, employees may remain unaware of critical deficiencies, bad habits, or areas where their performance is unacceptable. So this can negatively impact team results, customer satisfaction, and overall business outcomes. Secondly, the employee stops growing, or we call it stagnation. So picture this. An employee is told constantly how amazing they are. They will naturally think, I have mastered it, or there's nothing more to learn. So this mindset breeds complacency. So the desire to improve, innovate, or even just try a bit harder fades away. So they stop aiming for excellence because they think they have already achieved it. Their development can get completely stalled. So third, the manager credibility takes a hit. Believe it or not, employees are smart. They notice when a manager is only telling them half the story. So if manager praises something minor while ignoring an obvious costly mistake, the employees start to think, my manager is not being honest with me, or do they even know what's going on? Over time, the constant positive feedback loses value. If you are praised for everything, the praise for a truly outstanding achievement is not feeling good anymore, so the manager's words become meaningless. So the last point is loss of managerial control. From a manager's standpoint, this approach is a failure of basic oversight. The whole point of managing is to set a clear standard for what's good enough or what isn't. So if you never call out deviations from that standard, you have not really established a standard at all. So a good management system needs to be able to spot when things go wrong and fix them quickly. So by only giving praise the manager disables the essentials. So it will make the entire control process ineffectively. That's all from me. So I will pass it to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Hanif Najmi. For this part of the presentation, I will answer question 1419. The question asks where we would feel more comfortable working either in an organization like Boston Consulting Group or one like Netflix. It also asks us to compare the advantages and disadvantages of both and explain the career advice from this case. So here the answer. Based on this case, I would feel more comfortable working at Boston Consulting Group, not Netflix. This is because BCG focus on positive feedbacks, motivating employees and long-term development better than Netflix. So now I will explain the pros and cons of both organizations. First, let's look at Boston Consulting Group or BCG. One main advantage of BCG is that it focuses on positive feedback. Employees feel appreciated when their good work is recognized. Because of this, employees feel more motivated and more confident. The work environment is also less stressful because employees are not afraid of making mistakes. Another advantage is that BCG support long-term employee development. Employees are helped to improve their skill over time, not only judged by short-term results. However, there are also some disadvantages. Since BCG gives less negative feedbacks, mistakes may not be discussed clearly. Weak performance may not be fully corrected if employees do not know what they need to improve. Over time, this may cause lower performance standard, and this can affect the company results. Next, let's look at Netflix. One main advantage of Netflix is that it has clear performance expectations. Employees know exactly what the company wants from them. Employees are pushed to perform at a high level, which helps the company stay competitive. Poor performance is handled quickly, so problems do not last for a long time. However, this system also has disadvantage. The work pressure at Netflix is very high. Employees may feel stressed or worried. Because poor performance can lead to job loss, this environment is also not suitable for employees who need guidance or support, especially new or less experienced workers. In conclusion, BCG offers a more supportive and friendly work environments, where Netflix focuses on high performance and strict rules. Personally, I believe a balanced and supportive system is better for long-term career growth. So, for career advice, from this case, we can learn some important career lessons. First, we must understand our own working style. Some people work better with support, while other people prefer a competitive environment. Second, we should choose an organization that matches our personality and stress level. And finally, the best performance system is a balanced one. With both positive feedback and clear correction, this helps employees stay motivated and understand what they need to improve.
Thank you for listening.